Of course, we want the vote to turn out and get rid of them, but the way it happened in Chicago was the people came out. When the people come out in masses, when we have 5,000, 10,000 people in the street, hell, we don't have to wait on them. They don't have to go on their own. That's how it happened in Chicago. That's why they got so much pressure on Emmanuel, the mayor. That's why the chief has to go. So here's our plea. At that march, we're looking for at least 5,000, 10,000 people to march with us. And from that march, we will make any change that we are appealing to all the ministers, all the groups, everybody that say they are angry and mad about this travesty. And come out and join us. We will be inviting the people from Ferguson. We will be inviting the people from New York, Washington, Philadelphia. You're welcome to come with us. If you want to make the change that we need to make, all of you orders listed, 5,000 people, we want you out here. We'd love to have 10,000 people. And we will make a change. We're going to come out young, old, and in between. All denominations. We're going to start right here. When you see these steps, news people on Martin Luther King Day, and you're going to say where all those people come from, you're going to know that we're mad as hell about making the change. Is that right? Is that right? Is that what he said? Now we need to kill today. No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! No police! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! No justice! The black lives are under attack! What do we say? When black lives are under attack, what do we say? Stand up, fight back! When black lives are under attack, what do we say? Stand up, fight back! When black lives are under attack, what do we say? Stand up, fight back! When black lives are under attack, what do we say? Stand up, fight back! Black lives are under attack, what do we say? Stand up, fight back! Black lives are under attack, what do we say? Stand up, fight back!
As we stand in front of this building, which should be the symbol of justice and the symbol of fairness, we stand on this day that honors the life and work of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The members of United Pastors would like to reiterate publicly its feelings in regards to the Tamir Rice case. We are both saddened and outraged at the ruling by the grand jury in this case, and especially the handling of the investigation by our county prosecutor, Tim McGinty. As a result, many in our ranks have completely lost confidence in Mr. McGinty and feel that he has failed us all. The blood of Tamir Rice has once again stained the fabric of criminal justice in our county. The finding reminds us of the growing distrust and the lack of confidence in our criminal justice system, which was purportedly designed to administer justice and to protect the rights of all of its citizens. We will just not cry and holler and scream and march and raise our voices, but we will join in the call for action to ensure that a special prosecutor is utilized in all police-involved shootings where charges are being considered. We will join in all local efforts to educate and empower voters to use the ballot as a means for social change. In coming weeks, we will develop a public policy strategy, engage in public policy advocacy, and we will continue to work with all groups to develop a coalition of conscience to build a movement of citizens who share our desire for criminal justice reform. Most important, as people of faith, we are concerned and committed to continuing our expressions of care and support, both spiritually and materially, for the Rice family and for all families who have lost loved ones by police use of force and gun violence. We stand in solidarity with all of the activist groups that have been marching and protesting, and many have even gone to jail. We may not always agree with their tactics and methodology. There is never one way to get to the promised land. But we are with them, and we say that it's not over. We will stand in our lane, and we will continue to work and to organize, to use our voice to bring about criminal reform, criminal justice reform in our county, not just for the black community, but for all of Cleveland. We are calling on all of Cleveland to join us to make this city fair and equitable, where justice is allowed and it flows for all people. On this great day, a day that we honor Dr. King, we are outside, not inside, because we know, as our president just indicated, this is not a day off, but it is a day on.
Yes.
We will join in all efforts to educate and empower voters to use the ballot as a means for social change. In the coming weeks, we will develop a public policy agenda, engage in public policy advocacy, and we will work with a number of different groups to develop a coalition of conscience to build the will, to build the attitude to bring about change in our community. And I add parenthetically that Dr. King and so many formed the movement to save the soul of America. And we must take steps to counter the fact that America and this county does not have an appetite to hold police officers accountable for their actions. And we are ready and prepared to say enough is enough. It is time for us to change the conscience of this country and this community.
Harriet Tubman took the baton from him, and she ran on a little farther. She didn't win, but she went. Before she died, she passed it on to Frederick Douglass. He ran for another few laps. She did not win, but he went. Douglass passed it on to Du Bois and Booker T. Washington. They did not win, but they win. They passed it on to Ida B. Wells Barnett. They passed it on to Marcus Garvey. They passed it on to Adam Clayton Powell. None of them was able to win. All of them went. They passed it on to Martin Luther King and Ralph Abernathy and Andrew Young and Fred Shuttlesworth and Septima Clark. And they did not win, but they went. And now today, I want you to imagine, if you can, that your hand is reaching back while their hand is reaching forward. And they're trying to place in your hand the baton that they received from Nat Turner almost 200 years ago with the question, will you run your race?
We know you're running against Tim McGinty for a county prosecutor. I just had a few questions for you, if you don't mind answering briefly. My first question for you is, what is the main thing you would do different in regards to the Tamir Rice case? What would you have done differently with Tim McGinty?
Well, I think there's many things I would do different. First, the idea, independent investigation is always good. Do it much quicker. I think it was delayed for all the wrong reasons. His disclosure of information, and I would call it selective disclosure of information, I didn't think was appropriate, and it's never appropriate because according to the grand jury rules, that stuff should be secret. And I think it was selectively released, which I think caused a great bias with the grand jurors. And so there's many things I would do different, but that's where I would start.
And what preventative measures would you take to make sure that this doesn't happen again?
Well, I think preventative measures, first and foremost, better training for dispatchers and certainly for all the Cleveland policemen, not just Cleveland policemen, because, there's many suburbs in Cleveland. I think it's just an all-around educational approach on how you approach a situation. And I think it starts with training. And then obviously, prevent these things is the main issue in the future. We can never have another tragedy like this again.
And a lot of people have said that McGinty acted more as a defense attorney than a prosecutor.
He acted more like what?
He acted more like a defense attorney for Lowen and Garback than a prosecutor. How do you feel about that statement?
Well, I just can tell you I would do things differently. I just think the way he handled it from start to finish, whether it was dragging it out, the release of information, the experts he obtained to give that information to the grand jurors.
And the ones he denied.
Pardon me?
And the ones he denied access to the grand jury as well.
Well, I think it was ultimately the question for the grand jurors, that issue that he gave them an expert report on, and it can't help but bias it. And then obviously you have the whole situation where he came in at the end and gave his opinion as to what they should do anyhow, which is obviously was another serious
At the
issue.
council meeting, you had mentioned raising taxes from 2% to 2.5%.
That's correct.
Would you care to elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, we're looking at the aspect of where we're at right now. Our income tax and our property tax is pretty flat. And as we are moving forward, I've been a councilman down there since 2001. So over half of my career has been centered on how do we stop young African-American males from dying before their 24th birthday. As you may or may not know, the leading cause of death for an African-American male between the ages of 18 to 24 is homicide. And for the last 4 years, the city of Cleveland has been averaging 100 homicides. And for the last 2 years, consecutively, we've had 100 homicides. 102 2 years ago, 120 last year. We need more police, we need better technology, we need to hire these interrupters, we need to create more jobs. And with our income tax and our property tax pretty much being flat, we've got a flat budget that does not give us the ability to do things outside the box because their answer back to us, we don't have the money and we don't have the resources.
So my question to you in regards to that is, my statement and the question. A lot of people that I've spoken to regarding the tax increase and the purpose for the tax increase were a little bit, I would say, disheartened by the addition of more police. As I'm sure you're aware, as I'm sure you're aware of the issues between your constituents and the police, what steps are you trying to take to prevent those issues from continuing? Adding more police to a lot of people that I've spoken to, adding more police things, and then just be adding more probably adding more people who are not from that community, placing them in that community to defend people.
Well, we got a few things. First of all, we got to find over the next 4 to 5 years, $40 to $50 million. And with the existing budget that we have right now, it's just not going to happen. I mean, this year, because of the DOJ settlement, we got to come up with $13 million just this year alone, and subsequently for the next 4 or 5 years, we got to come up with another $8 to $10 million. So that money's not just going to fall from the sky. And so what are you going to do? You can't lay away. I'm not in the business of saying we should be laying off individuals. We should not have a reduction of service. So you can't have it both ways. All this funding won't go strictly to hiring police. I mean, it would give us the ability to provide other services for the city of Cleveland, to provide other activities in the city of Cleveland, give us the ability to hire housing inspectors. If you look at our neighborhoods, one of our reasons that our property taxes keep going down is because we're not going out there and inspecting these houses and getting individuals to fix up their house. This gives us the ability to hire more housing inspectors. What this money will do, yes, will it give us the ability to hire more police, yes, but it would also give us the ability not to have to tap into an existing budget right now that's flat. We've made a deal with the federal government that we are going to improve and make serious improvement to this police force and the way that we do business as it relates to policing in this city. And that's going to cost us. It's not going to come free. There's not a lot of grants out there from the federal government or the state government or local government to make it happen. So we've got to find that money within our own existing budget. Where you look, we got to find $13 million just this year alone in a flat budget. And then for the next 4 or 5 years, we got to find $8 to $10 million in a flat budget. So we're saying that we can raise our income tax by 0.5%. The vast majority of people who would pay that 0.5% don't live in the city of Cleveland. But they come here and they utilize our services. They use our police. They use our water. They use all the activities in our city. Well, I'm saying that we have not raised this tax in 30 plus years. It gives us the ability not only to put more money into our coffers, it gives us the ability to help pay off that DOJ settlement, hire better police than we have right now. But you got to take into account, one of the reasons we're in this position is the training. We've done a poor piss job of training our police officers, and that's the reason we have a lot of these bad problems out in our community. So moving forward, we made a deal with the federal government. We've got to pay for that deal with the federal government. I'm saying the 0.5% to increase from 2% to 2.5% will give us the added resources and funding to be able to put in place a better city for everyone. Right now we got what I'm calling two Clevelands. We clearly got two Clevelands going on right now. We can't keep moving forward like that. We got to change it, and I don't want to keep hearing excuses for having the money. This will give us the ability to have the money to change Cleveland.
My next question for you is about voter registration. So within not just your ward, but throughout all of Cuyahoga County, especially with the election coming up in March, what steps are you taking to ensure most, if not all, of the residents of your ward are registered voters?
Well, I've got the second highest voting ward on the east side of the city of Cleveland. Okay? So my situation is not getting more people to vote, getting more people to register to vote. I think that's important, and I think we need to do all that we possibly can. My thing is, I got 10,000 registered voters right now. Go back and look at my last numbers. We're barely making 5,000. So that means 50% of the people who are eligible to vote are not voting. What we got to do as an elected official is to give them a reason to vote. I would never impede anybody from registering people to vote. What we got to come up with is coming up with concepts to getting people to register to vote. As Reverend Martin Nichols said here today, we don't have the bull conduct, we don't have dogs, we don't have water hoses. People can vote 30 days out. People can walk right into a school and vote. People can vote right at their kitchen table. But for some strange reason, when it comes to the African American community, our voting numbers are way too low. So what we've got to do is we've got to continue to register people, but we've got to get those individuals who are already registered to get out of their kitchens and basements and attics and off their front porches and go vote. And then that will send a bigger message. When people see that we are actively participating in a political system where their jobs are at stake. Now understand, just like myself, every 4 years I got to go on the ballot and my job's at stake. So when people see that the power of the electorate is taking movements to make change at that ballot box, I guarantee you that's when you'll see a bigger change. I think the marching's good. I think to keep having the rallies is fantastic, and I will continue to march, and I will continue to be at the rallies. But I am trying to get my people to understand you got to vote. And I think that's what the president said in the State of the Union. You have got to vote. That is the one equalizer that we all have. Everybody has one vote. You got one vote, I got one vote, white folks got one vote, black folks got one vote, Hispanics got one vote. We all got one vote. Collectively, if we as African Americans, black folks, put those votes together and get behind one candidate, one issue, and show them that we mean business, I guarantee you will see a sea change in the direction that our communities are going in right now.
Hey Mac, my name is Chindraj Kumanik. I came from South Carolina. I knew that on MLK Day I needed to be here. I wanted to be here all the time because I know there are some people in Cleveland who are protesting. But I felt it really offended that they would choose to play a game on MLK Day down here. We still have no justice for Tamir and other victims of police violence. And somebody has to just say no, I was happy to see that when we got up here, there was a strong contingent of people protesting, and we just joined them, you know what I mean? And it's just, there's no justice, no peace. We can never forget and just go play basketball. So that's why we drove all the way up last night. I'm driving all the way back. The turnout is strong because we're here, and there's been an interruption, You never know how many people are going to come out, and I know sometimes people come out for different things. We would like to see these streets packed because, man, Tamir was 12. Yeah. How is it just? Nobody's accountable for that. So we need more, but I'm not going to shame Cleveland. I'm just doing my part to join Cleveland,
Okay. Cleveland knows, Tamir's family know that we're out here. There's people out all over the country that do care about them, and we all want justice for Tamir rights.
Okay.
So we came out here to show love, show support. Everybody should be outraged about what happened. So I'd rather be here than sitting home, I don't know, doing nothing on MLK Day, right? This is MLK. If he was here, he'd be standing with us right here today, fighting, speaking up. He'd be outraged too. So following in his footsteps. His tradition. MLK wouldn't be at the $50 plate MLK dinner, at the MLK gala, and the MLK, he wouldn't be at all that. He would be out here. Or at this basketball.
MLK basketball game. They had the nerve to try to have a Black Heritage moment.
Sponsored by Hennessy.
Sponsored by Hennessy.
Because people are enjoying today, the holiday, they're going to the game. But what holiday is this? This is about standing up for justice. And Dr. King said, the greatest threat is not the radical, not the white supremacist or the white radical in the South, but the moderate white, the kind moderate white.